with Van Jefferson, because I do agree. I thought he did look really really good
He's
yesterday,
doing the
man.
AB workouts too. They're saying catching 300
300
balls
a day
after every practice.
Yeah. If you want to be great, don't tell me, show me. We've seen greatness. Until somebody else produces and does it for as long as Antonio Brown has done it, there is no excuse to not do the things that he did in terms of his on-field working to perfect his craft. Don't tell me you're great. Don't tell me all this unless you're willing to outwork that man. And I still haven't seen a person that is willing to do that as consistently as AB. Swear by it. Him, L. Bell, Debo, hardest workers I've ever been around in my life, man. But my question was this, because Van, like I said, I thought he looked really good, man. Thought his run after the catch, especially him getting north and south. That's a big thing with Van and with GP. Catch the ball, get vertical, right? If GP were to go down and now Van Jefferson has to be bumped up to the wide receiver 1 scenario.
We need to trade for someone.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Then if we feel like that, I don't know if it is the scenario where you just feel confident, you know what I mean, that we don't bring in another person, because the way that our offense continues to look, even in the practice setting, 13 personnel, 12 personnel, 22 personnel, it's a lot of, we're going to single up that wide receiver on the backside, and he has to be a guy. We're one GP going down, and now this offense is kind of handicapped a little bit. If we want insurance, like we kind of talk about, right, a little higher in insurance, then yeah, you go get a Brandon Aiyuk. You make that move. We say we can afford it. It's going to be expensive, but for what we're trying to do for this year, you go with that. I'm back and forth still at times, man.
It's the conversation we've been having the whole time.
Seriously, bro.
I think we're fine with where we're at, but yeah, we're one injury away.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already witnessed one with Roman Wilson, but I mean, I think we can get by with out Roman Wilson. It is Pickens. He's the one that, there's no replacement for him on this roster. There's no question about that.
I mean, as we look at the other receivers, it's like Van Jefferson's the other way that we're like, all right, we're seeing that, but tell me who else you saw that made you feel like, yeah, man, whew. Like, we're not taking anything away from those guys. It's just GP, where he stands right now, it's alone, man. So,
yeah, I think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah.
Now, that's the thing with Aiyuk. It's like you trade for him, you bring in another guy, another weapon. You're going to have to pay him. Opens up the offense a little bit, like helps the offense and everything. Do we need it? If we stay healthy, I don't think so. But could we use it even if we do remain healthy? Like if we just add Aiyuk to Pickens,
it's an added asset to the offense,
Van Jefferson,
man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm good with. Yeah, I think it wouldn't hurt us at all.
You know what else? I feel like it also pushes GP
let's just make the trade, man.
Yeah, because right now with GP, he's the only guy that we realistically view as a threat to consistently, not just on occasion. I'm talking consistently win versus one-on-one on the backside. If you bring in Aiyuk, now you got two guys that we feel are at least capable in some capacity of doing that at a higher clip. And I think it pushes GP to say, I don't want to come off this field whenever we go one wide receiver. So the only way I can make that happen is if I show up every single day, every single practice, every single rep, whether it's catching the football or blocking. I have to put out that type of effort every single time, because now Brandon Aiyuk is here. That's not Van Jefferson. That's not Calvin Austin. That's not Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller and company. That's somebody that legitimately I'm looking at as either we're equal, or some might even say that he's a little bit ahead of me right now. So that's the part that I do kind of like. If we do make this move with Aiyuk, I think we could get that added bonus, which would then really force GP into that other world that we're seeing a lot of, or not a lot of receivers, but we're seeing receivers tap into, that we think he fits that same mold and is capable of getting into.
Then becomes the weird part, though. If GP is for sure our number one, we're paying this guy Brandon Aiyuk a ton of money. How does that switch up our early identity here? And what's his vibe? If he's coming off the field middle of the season and GP's the main guy when we're in heavy personnel and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But if they're both producing, though,
that's.
Are you worried about that?
Maybe Aiyuk doesn't even. Maybe Aiyuk just wants his money, and then he's not as stressed about targets. He wants his money
because
and
he's
just
been
wants
the
to
number
win.
2 or been a part of an offense where he's not force-fed targets in San Fran. So money is big, but in terms of his oil field, what would be the big difference for him? He's still going to get an uptick. I feel like I don't know if he'll get an uptick in targets. I feel like it would still be right on par though. Here, just based off of our weapons and how we would utilize him versus in San Fran, where he's still having to split with Kittle, CMC, and Debo. Juszczyk gets his action too.
I don't think we'll be as pass heavy as the Niners, though.
I think we would if he's here with GP though.
Yeah, that's
saying,
my
yeah.
question. We were just talking about how this is going to be a very physical, run-heavy team. Bringing in Aiyuk, does that switch up the vibe, switch up the identity a little bit? I mean, maybe.
I think it shifts it from if it's 60-40 run or 60-40, on the heavy,
he's a good
heavy
blocking
run side.
receiver,
Yeah.
though. Like, I think he'd buy in.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously bought into the 49ers system. I'm not saying they're completely, like, way passing it, like, so much more than running, too. I mean, Christian McCaffrey gets hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they do. So they're a nice balanced team, but, they're more apt to pass with Purdy there and Shanahan than I think Arthur Smith and what we got going at quarterback, whether it is Russ or Fields right now.
Yeah.
Aiyuk would help the offense no matter what.
The one thing that I do like from Arthur Smith, and he talked about this yesterday when they were asking about Justin Fields, just talks about how, just if these are the players that I have, these are the pieces that I have, like, how can I maximize them? What can I do with them that's going to make this thing better? Versus, this is what I run. This is my scheme. Figure it out. Make it work.
Yeah.
So that's the part where I do feel like if Aiyuk were to come into the fold, he would be able to make the alterations, or at least the way that he's communicating through the media seems like he's a lot more willing to customize it around the players versus trying to make the players fit what he's trying to do. And I think, like I said, that's a positive. And I think that's partly why Fields is playing as well as he's playing. I think partly why GP is looking as comfortable as he's looking out there. Because it's more of, what do you do well? We're not going to, GP, if you don't have all these routes, cool, we're not going to have you do all these routes. We're going to credential split on the backside, force them to play one-on-one versus you, and now you beating the guy one-on-one. We know you can do this part. You might not be the Deontay Johnson type route runner, but we can get you on this bang out. We can get you on this end. We can get you on this dig. We can get you on that. And all built up from this offense. So, like I said, Arthur Smith, I just think that could still carry over with Aiyuk without us completely losing this ultra physical identity that anybody that's been out there in camp practices has been seeing. I think that it would still be a positive. But we'll see if AB's right, man. We're going to see.
Yeah, on the field, Aiyuk helps us. The only question would be, does he mess with the potential vibes or chemistry? I don't think from being at camp yesterday, I don't think he could mess with the vibes that we got going right now.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
In terms of training camp, preseason, off-season. But if you're sitting there in the middle of the season and the scenario plays out, as I mentioned, where Ayuk's not getting the ball as much and Pickens is the clear number one, not getting targets, not on the field as much as he was getting out in San Fran, what's the vibes going to be like that? I think that would be my only question mark with Aiyuk. But sometimes the risk is worth the reward.
If we winning, I think everybody is okay. I think if we're losing, different conversation. And I think we even saw that at times last year with our team. When we were losing, going through a little bit of them down times, a lot more chirping, a lot more of the frustration kind of being vocalized. Whereas when you're having that success, it didn't matter who was getting targets. It didn't matter who statistically was having the better games. It was, we are winning. And everybody was kind of on board with that. So I think as long as that's still happening, I think we can kind of massage the egos of both of those receivers in terms of if it was a target issue or a production or lack thereof issue.
Yeah.